I have always considered myself a highly observant person, someone who notices the small details that most people brush off. Living in a rapidly growing city like Austin, Texas, you learn to keep your head on a swivel. In the fall of 2023, I was 25, working as a junior architect for a mid-sized firm downtown and renting a ground floor apartment in an older, heavily wooded complex off Far West Boulevard. Money was incredibly tight. Between student loans and the rising cost of rent, I was operating on a razor-thin budget. That financial stress is the only reason I made the sequence of decisions that eventually derailed my entire life. It started on a Friday night in late October. I was walking back to my car after grabbing a drink with some coworkers on East 6th Street. The sidewalks were crowded, and as I was trying to text my roommate, a man in a heavy jacket bumped hard into my shoulder. The impact knocked my phone out of my hand. It hit the concrete pavement at the exact wrong angle, completely shattering the screen and bending the chassis. By the time I picked it up, the device was entirely dead. The man who bumped into me had already vanished into the crowd. I didn't think much of it at the time, other than being furious about the bad luck. But in today's world, you cannot function without a smartphone. I needed it for my alarm, for my work emails, and for the two-factor authentication required to log into my firm's server. Unable to afford a brand new $1,000 phone, I spent Saturday morning using my laptop to scour Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist for a cheap, used replacement. I just needed something functional to bridge the gap until I could save up. After an hour of scrolling through overpriced listings and obvious scams, I found a post that had gone up only 20 minutes prior. It was a listing for a used Samsung Galaxy S22 in pristine condition for only $200. The seller's profile was bare, just a generic name and a stock photo of a dog. But the description said they had recently upgraded and just wanted to get rid of their old device quickly. I immediately messaged them. They replied almost instantly, agreeing to my offer and suggesting we meet in the parking lot of a massive H-E-B grocery store just off Interstate 35. I drove there that afternoon. The parking lot was chaotic and packed with weekend shoppers, which made me feel perfectly safe. The seller arrived on foot, walking over from the direction of the nearby bus stop. He was a completely unremarkable man, probably in his late 30s, wearing faded jeans, a dark gray hoodie, and a surgical mask, something that still wasn't entirely uncommon to see in public. He didn't say much. He just handed me the phone, took the $200 in cash, nodded, and walked away. The phone powered on perfectly to the factory reset welcome screen. I felt a wave of relief, thinking I had just scored an incredibly lucky deal. When I got back to my apartment, I sat down at my kitchen island to set up the device. I used a metal paperclip to pop open the SIM card tray on the side of the phone so I could insert my own network card. When the small plastic sled slid out, I noticed it was a dual-slot tray. My SIM card went into the first slot, but sitting securely in the second slot was a tiny, black 128 gigabyte micro SD card. The seller must have forgotten to take out his expandable storage before selling it. My initial thought was to simply go into the phone settings and format the card, wiping whatever old data was on it. But human curiosity is a powerful thing. I reasoned that there might be some music files or movies on there, or maybe I just wanted to see what kind of person the guy in the gray hoodie was. I took the micro SD card, slid it into a USB adapter, and plugged it directly into my laptop. The drive popped up on my desktop. I clicked it open. There were no music folders or document files. The only thing on the drive was a single folder labeled DCIM, which is the standard default directory where digital cameras and smartphones store photos and videos. I opened the folder. It contained exactly 42 video files. I clicked on the first video, which was time-stamped from early August. The file opened in VLC Media Player. The footage was shaky, clearly handheld, and recorded from inside a parked car. The camera was zoomed in tightly through a slightly dirty windshield. It was pointed at a large, familiar commercial building. I recognized it immediately as the Whole Foods at the Domain, an upscale outdoor mall area in North Austin. It was a place I occasionally went to on weekends to grab lunch. The video lasted about 2 minutes, just static footage of the entrance doors opening and closing as people walked in and out. I assumed the seller just lived in my area and happened to record something random. I closed it and clicked on a video from September. This one was recorded at night. The camera was positioned behind a thick line of bushes, looking across a poorly lit asphalt parking lot. I squinted at my laptop screen, trying to make out the shapes in the dark. A cold, heavy knot began to form in the pit of my stomach. The layout of the parking lot, the specific angle of the streetlights, the position of the dumpsters. It wasn't just any parking lot. It was the parking lot of my apartment complex. A sudden, chilling sense of wrongness washed over me. I frantically double-clicked the next file in the list. It was daytime footage. The camera was positioned inside a coffee shop, pointing out through the front window toward the patio seating. Sitting at one of the patio tables, drinking an iced latte and typing on a laptop, was me. The video was incredibly steady. The person filming was sitting just a few tables away inside the cafe, quietly recording me through the glass for nearly 5 minutes. I could clearly see what I was wearing, a specific green sweater I had bought in late September. My hands started to shake over the keyboard. I wasn't looking at a random stranger's forgotten videos. I was looking at a meticulously curated surveillance log of my own life. I started clicking through the remaining files in rapid succession. There was a video of me pumping gas at a Shell station near my office. There was a video of me carrying groceries to my front door. There was a video taken from the opposite side of the street, zooming in on my apartment window at night, while my living room lights were on. The person who sold me this phone hadn't just been following me. They had been studying my routines, my habits, and my exact locations for months. The terrifying reality of the situation began to piece itself together in my mind. The incident on 6th Street the night before wasn't a drunken accident. The man bumping into me and shattering my phone was a deliberate, calculated act. He had broken my device on purpose, knowing that I would immediately go online the next morning looking for a cheap, used replacement in my specific zip code. He had baited the trap with an incredibly low price for a high-end phone, ensuring I would be the one to buy it. But why? If he was already stalking me, why go through the elaborate charade of selling me his old phone? My eyes dropped to the bottom of the file list. There was one final video. It was time-stamped from Thursday night, just 2 days before the phone was broken. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the mousepad. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to close the laptop and call the police, but I needed to know how close this person had actually gotten. I double-clicked the final file. The video opened in near total darkness. The camera lens was adjusting to the low light. The person holding the phone was walking slowly and silently across a carpeted floor. I recognized the layout of the walls instantly. They were inside my apartment. The camera slowly panned to the left, capturing my kitchen island and the faint glow of the microwave clock. Then, the person turned and walked down the short hallway toward the back of the unit. They stopped in the doorway of my bedroom. The camera slowly zoomed in. Lying in the bed, wrapped in the blankets and fast asleep, was me. The person holding the phone stood in my bedroom doorway for 3 excruciatingly long minutes, perfectly silent, just recording the rise and fall of my chest in the dark. They had been inside my home while I was completely vulnerable. I slammed the laptop shut so hard, I thought the screen might crack. I grabbed my car keys, bolted out the front door, and practically ran to my car. I didn't stop looking in my rearview mirror until I pulled into the parking lot of the main Austin Police Department headquarters downtown. I sat in a sterile interrogation room for 3 hours while a detective went through the files on my laptop. When he finally came back into the room, his expression was grim. He explained that they had swept my apartment and found faint, almost invisible scratch marks on the internal cylinder of my front door deadbolt. The stalker had picked the lock, Something that is terrifyingly easy to do if you know what you're doing. But the detective told me something else, something far more disturbing. The cybercrimes unit had analyzed the Samsung phone I had just purchased. The stalker hadn't forgotten the micro SD card by accident. He had deliberately left it in the tray. He had rooted the phone's operating system, installing a deep-level, undetectable spyware program before factory resetting the user interface to make it look clean. The software was designed to give him real-time GPS tracking, silent access to the phone's front and rear cameras, and the ability to listen through the microphone whenever he wanted. He didn't just want to watch me from the bushes anymore. He wanted me to willingly carry his eyes and ears into my home, into my car, and into my workplace. The police launched a full investigation, but the trail was completely dead. The Facebook profile was deleted an hour after we met. The email attached to it was a burner, accessed from public library Wi-Fi networks. The security cameras at the HEB parking lot were too far away to capture the man's face beneath his mask or the license plate of whatever car he might have driven. He was a ghost. I broke my lease that very same week, taking a massive financial hit, and temporarily moved back into my parents' house in a completely different state. I bought a brand new phone directly from a verified retailer, and I still keep heavy electrical tape over all the camera lenses. I've been in therapy for over a year to deal with the hypervigilance and the paranoia, but logic only goes so far when your sense of safety has been fundamentally shattered. Because even now, hundreds of miles away, locked inside a secure house, whenever I see a generic gray hoodie in a crowd, I have to fight the urge to run. And I still stay awake at night, staring at the locked bedroom door, wondering how long he was standing there in the dark before he hit record.